Hello Tech World and welcome back to another video. It's officially been about 6 months since the release of the Nintendo Switch 2 and I figured now is the perfect time to share my full experience with it. In this video, I'll be breaking down what it's been like living with the Switch 2 day to day, the accessories I've been using to level up my gameplay, and some of the titles I've picked up and absolutely loved over these last few months. Whether you're trying to decide if the Switch 2 is worth the upgrade, wondering if you should hold out for more games, or thinking about waiting for a potential Switch 2 Lite or even an OLED model, hopefully this video helps you make the right choice. If you're new to the channel, here we talk everything tech and gaming, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. Alright, with that out of the way, let's jump straight into my 6-month Switch 2 experience, what's good, what's not so great, and what you should know before buying. Before diving into my personal experience with the Switch 2, let's first break down what's actually new with this console, from the design and display to performance and overall usability. Starting with the design, the first thing you'll notice is just how much bigger the Switch 2 is compared to previous models. And not only is it bigger, it's heavier. The Switch 2 comes in at 534 grams, which is noticeably more than the Switch OLED at 420 grams. So yeah, it's a pretty significant jump. But even with that extra weight, I actually love the new design. The Switch 2 feels premium, more solid, more refined, and overall like a device that was built to last. In terms of shape, Nintendo kept the classic Switch aesthetic, but made a handful of subtle improvements. The bezels are thinner, which modernizes the look and gives you more screen real estate without making the device feel too bulky. The console is wider, and the grip has definitely improved thanks to the larger form factor. It feels more comfortable and stable in the hands, though it's not perfect. I'll talk more about that later in the video. When it comes to the layout, everything will feel familiar if you've used previous Switch models, but there are a few welcome changes. The Switch 2 now includes a C button, which works as a dedicated chat button. You're also getting larger, more premium Joy-Cons. Honestly, one of the biggest improvements for me. They feel sturdier, better built, and just overall more comfortable to use, which is something I've been wanting for a long time. The Switch 2 also gives you 2 USB-C ports, one at the bottom and one at the top, which adds a lot of flexibility for charging and accessories. The kickstand has been completely redesigned too. It's way more solid and sturdy now, and honestly shouldn't be overlooked because it makes tabletop mode so much better. Up top, you'll find the game card slot, your headphone jack, the power and volume buttons, and that additional USB-C port I mentioned earlier. Now, let's talk about the display because this is one of the biggest upgrades. The Switch 2 comes with a 7.9-inch 1080p IPS LCD display that supports HDR10 and VRR up to 120 Hz. You're getting 279 ppi, which makes everything look sharper and more detailed than ever before. And honestly, even though it's not OLED, this is one of the best LCD panels I've seen on a handheld. Colors look vibrant, the image looks clean, and games genuinely pop. Sure, you're not getting OLED level contrast or true blacks, but I think most people are going to be more than satisfied with this display. I definitely am. I'll admit, I originally thought a 7.9-inch screen might be too big, but looking back, yeah, I was wrong. The larger display feels perfect and makes games way more immersive. In terms of brightness, you're getting up to 450 nits, which is great for indoor gaming, but not ideal for bright outdoor play in direct sunlight. If you mostly play inside though, you're not gonna have any issues. Now, let's get into my actual experience with the Switch 2 because honestly, it's been fantastic for the most part. I've been using this thing a lot. In fact, it's brought back a spark in gaming for me that I didn't even realize I was missing. As strange as it sounds, I'm finding myself playing on my PC less and less because the Switch 2 gives me something my setup can't, which is flexibility and portability. I work at a desk for several hours a day, so by the time I get home, the last thing I want to do is sit right back at another desk to game. That's where the Switch shines. I can take it with me on my lunch break, play it in the car, on the couch, in bed, literally anywhere, without being tied to one spot. Just like the original Switch, the Switch 2 supports the 3 familiar play modes: handheld, tabletop, and docked. And for me, handheld mode has easily been the go-to choice. It's the most convenient, the most comfortable, and the most pick up and play option. I love being able to just grab the Switch 2 and start playing without worrying about a TV, a dock, or even a table. Because I play handheld so much, I decided to pick up an accessory that completely changed the way I use the system, which is the D-brand kill switch for the Nintendo Switch 2. If you prefer handheld gaming, this accessory is a game changer. The ergonomics are fantastic, it adds just enough grip to make long gaming sessions comfortable without adding too much bulk, and the included travel cover is surprisingly useful. Not only does it protect the display, but it also allows you to carry up to 10 game cards, which is really convenient when you're on the move. Inside the box, you also get a dock adapter, so the case doesn't interfere when you place the Switch 2 into the dock, and 2 analog stick grips if you prefer a little extra height or texture on the joysticks. Overall, the kill switch has become one of those accessories that I don't see myself taking off anytime soon. It just makes handheld mode that much better. But for those times when I do want to play on a larger screen, it's really nice knowing the option is there. And honestly, one of the biggest advantages of playing docked is that if you want that OLED experience, you can still get it. Just connect your Switch 2 to an OLED TV. That way you're getting those rich colors, incredible contrast ratios, and those deep inky blacks that people love about OLED panels. Unfortunately for me, the TV I use isn't OLED, but that hasn't been an issue at all. I'm currently using a TCL 65-inch mini LED QLED 4K Google TV, and the experience has still been amazing. The colors are bright, the image is sharp, and it honestly makes games like Mario Kart World and Super Mario Party Jamboree look fantastic. Playing docked on the big screen has been especially great when hosting game nights. It's super easy to set up, the visuals hold up really well, and it's just a fun way to bring everyone together for some multiplayer chaos. Now, let's talk about performance, because this has been one of the strongest parts of my Switch 2 experience. I haven't run into any stuttering, dropped frames, or noticeable lag. Everything has felt consistently smooth no matter how I'm playing. I've been spending a lot of time with Breath of the Wild, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, and Hogwarts Legacy, and all of these games not only run really well, but also look great whether I'm in handheld mode or docked on the big screen. Nintendo and the developers have really done a good job optimizing for this hardware. Now, if you're coming from a PS5 or Xbox Series X, it's important to keep expectations in check. The Switch 2 isn't meant to compete with those consoles in raw power, visual fidelity, or overall performance. But with that said, the custom NVIDIA Tegra T239 processor is no slouch. It's a noticeable upgrade compared to the previous Switch generation, offering better graphics, more stable performance, and faster load times. As for the newer features, 120Hz support, VRR, and DLSS, these are fantastic additions on paper. The problem is that not many current titles are taking full advantage of them yet, and that's definitely a bit disappointing. But to be fair, the Switch 2 is still early in its life cycle, so I'm really hoping more developers tap into these features as newer titles launch. Because once games start fully utilizing VRR and higher refresh rates and DLSS, the Switch 2's performance potential is going to get even better. Now let's talk about the games, because Nintendo has provided us with some exciting games so far, such as Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Kirby Air Riders, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, and of course Metroid Prime 4, which should be out by the time you're watching this video. In my opinion, that's a pretty strong lineup so far. I've been having a blast with several of these titles, and it's clear Nintendo is building a solid foundation for the Switch 2's library. Now, I know some people feel like there still aren't enough games out yet, and I get that, but honestly, that hasn't been an issue for me at all. Thanks to the Switch 2 being fully backwards compatible, I've been going through my backlog of Switch 1 games that I never finished, or in some cases never even started. So between new releases and older titles, I've had more than enough to keep me busy. What I really appreciate is how many of these older Switch 1 games run so much better on the Switch 2 hardware. Titles that used to struggle with performance or longer load times now feel smoother, faster, and overall more enjoyable. It's almost like getting a built-in upgrade to your existing library, and that's something I think a lot of people will appreciate. Now let's move on to the accessories, because these are the add-ons that have really elevated my Switch 2 experience. I've picked up a handful of items over the past few months, and each one has made gaming either more comfortable, more convenient, or just overall more enjoyable. First up is the Gillikit Zen Pro wireless gaming controller. I've been using this controller for a while now. The Zen Pro is incredibly versatile. It works not only with the Switch, but also with Windows PCs, Android devices, and Mac. It also includes a 6-axis gyroscope for precision motion controls, a long-lasting battery rated for up to 25 hours, and linear Hall effect joysticks. These joysticks are a huge deal because they eliminate dead zones and completely avoid stick drift, something that the Joy-Cons unfortunately still struggle with. Overall, the Zen Pro gives me comfort, precision, and reliability. My second accessory is the AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation. These are my go-to earbuds in most situations. The sound quality is great, and the noise cancellation is a lifesaver when I'm traveling or playing somewhere with background noise. I also occasionally use Apple EarPods, yes, the wired ones, because they don't require charging and they help preserve battery when I switch the device to airplane mode to disable Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It's a simple little trick that can help stretch the Switch 2's battery life. Next is a must-have for me, which is a 20,000 milliamp hour 30-watt Anker power bank. This thing has been clutch when I'm gaming on the go. It's powerful enough to charge the Switch 2 quickly and gives me a peace of mind knowing I'll never be stuck at 5% battery when I'm away from home. Last but not least is my Nintendo Samsung microSD SD express card. For storage, I'm currently using a 256GB micro SD express card. It wasn't my first choice. I originally wanted a 512GB or even a 1TB card, but those were hard to find in stock, so I grabbed the 256GB just so I wouldn't run out of space entirely. It's been holding me over for now, but if you download a ton of digital titles like I do, extra storage is an absolute must for the Switch 2. And before I forget, please get a screen protector for your Switch 2. I know this sounds like common sense, but it's important. The last thing you want is a scratch or crack across that beautiful new display. So, after 6 months, do I regret buying the Switch 2? Absolutely not. The Switch 2 has been a fantastic upgrade. It's not perfect and it doesn't try to be, but it delivers enough meaningful improvements over the previous models to make it well worth the purchase. I've put hundreds of hours into this console already, and I don't see myself slowing down anytime soon, especially as more games continue to release. If I had to point out one major complaint, it would definitely be the battery life. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not great either, especially for longer handheld sessions. Outside of that though, I haven't experienced any issues with the hardware, the games, or the accessories I've picked up. Everything has worked to make the Switch 2 a really enjoyable system. So, who do I recommend the Switch 2 to? Honestly, I think it's a great pickup for anyone who's new to the Switch ecosystem. This is the best version to start with. It's also a really solid upgrade for anyone coming from the original Switch or the Switch Lite. But if you're currently using a Switch OLED, my advice is this: only upgrade if you're genuinely interested in the new Switch 2 exclusive titles. If none of the new games appeal to you yet, there's no real reason to rush out and buy a new console. You might be better off waiting until more Switch 2 exclusive games hit the library. With that said, let me know in the comments, did you pick up a Switch 2? How's your experience been so far? Do you regret buying one? Or has it been everything you hoped for? As always, Tech World, it's been a blast. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.